It is common in society today for people to accumulate belongings, but oftentimes it is not necessary for people to accumulate so many goods. Many people are perfectly happy to have just a few necessary effects. For some people, this is by choice, but for others, this is because of the situation they are in. An example of this is that some people do not have lots of money, and therefore are not able to afford lots of products. This can be seen in both the books The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls and the book Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. Both books are very different, but are mostly similar because they both have main characters that do not believe that you need many belongings, but are different because the Walls family from The Glass Castle cannot afford to buy products. But Chris from Into the Wild has very few possessions by choice. However, both Chris and the Walls family believe that you do not need many belongings to be happy. In the 21st century, many people would find it hard to believe that it is possible to live without having a house full of belongings, many of which were impulse buys and never get used or thought of again. There are some people that realize that they do not need to have so much. One person who lived a very full and happy life was Chris McCandless, whose life is detailed in the books Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. He decided to leave everything and have a great classic adventure. Sadly, his journey ended with him dying in the Alaskan bush after surviving 4 months with nothing more than a small rifle, boots, 10 pounds of rice, and a knife, and a few philosophical books. Chris was a strong believer that you did not need much to survive. When Chris's backpack looked as though it weighed only 25 or 30 pounds, many people thought that he should have brought more with him. Jim Gallen, who dropped Chris off at the Stampede Trail, where he started his journey, never thought that his backpack was an improbably light load for an extended stay in the backcountry. Many people cite the fact that Chris had no survival training and had very few supplies for the fact that he died. But in fact, the reason that he died was because the potato root he ate had a toxic mold growing on it, which was completely unrelated to any supplies, as you can see. It would have been impossible for him to know if the root had mold on it. The fact that Chris was able to survive for as long as he did with as little as he had was a major accomplishment for him. His survival was able to prove the point that you do not need many things, or belongings, or tools, in fact, to survive. The notion that you do not need lots of possessions in order to survive is more importantly be happy, did not just apply to Chris from Into the Wild, but also applied to the Walls family from The Glass Castle. Due to the fact that the Walls family did not have much money, they were not able to afford many belongings. Jeanette does not like this because she wants to have more clothes so that she does not have to wear the same clothes day after day after day. However, the most part, her family is happy. This is apparent in her mother. When Jeanette and Brian, her brother, are playing in the woods, they found a diamond ring, and they wanted to sell it, but their mother did not want to sell it because Rex, her father, had pawned her original wedding ring when he wanted more money. She wanted the ring to improve her self-esteem. At times like these, self-esteem is even more vital than food, she said. This quote provides perfect evidence for the fact that you do not need belongings to be happy, because self-esteem is much more important. Having the right mindset and being thankful for what you do have is really important. In order to be happy, the fact that her mother keeps the ring and does not want to sell it to buy food is a sign that she has very little, is that she wants very little and thinks that it is important to treasure what you have. Throughout the book, Jeanette has mentioned that she wants more personal belongings, mainly clothes. This is a major difference between The Glass Castle and Into the Wild. One of the major reasons that Jeanette wants more clothes is because she gets made fun of at school for wearing the same clothes day after day after day. The teachers notice this, that all of the Walls kids do not have many clothes, and they try to help. They do this by giving them bags of clothes that were collected at church drives. However, both of the parents do not like the fact that they are given handouts and often said, "We can take care of our own." Her parents also say that they do not like handouts because they teach you to be dependent on handouts and that they scar you for life. Due to the fact that the Walls family always has very little food in their house, it might be a good idea for them to accept a handout from time to time. This could be one of the primary reasons for all of the troubles that the Walls family is having. On the other hand, Chris McCandless, from Into the Wild, is completely different, because he does not want anything more. In fact, he wants less. The notion can be seen throughout the book, and plays a major role in his life. This can be seen from the very beginning of the book, when he is becoming a hermit in college, and his room was furnished with little more than a thin mattress on the floor, milk crates, and a table. During this time, Chris was funded by his parents, for the most part, and due to the fact that his parents had a fair amount of money, they would most likely have been more than happy to help him buy more furnishings. This fact can be backed up by the fact that his parents even offered to buy him a car. If they were willing to buy a car, chances are they are willing to buy some light furnishings for Chris. Another way that Chris shows that he does not want anything extra was by the way that he was offended when his parents offered to buy him the said new car. He said that his current car was perfectly fine, and he did not need it to be replaced. The only reason that he had a car at all was because it was a mode of transportation for him to take across the country on great adventures. If he had a better way of traveling that was even more minimalistic, he would most likely not even have the car. Later in the book, when his car was flooded, he did not mind because he viewed it as just another part of the adventure. Having this mindset helped Chris survive in the Alaskan bush. Both the Walls family and Chris have very little money, and they truly make the best of it. The way that the Walls family does this is by being so positive. In the Walls family, the mother plays the role in keeping the whole family positive. However, the kids are keenly aware that the world is not as great and happy as their mother makes it seem. As mentioned in the previous paragraph, having the right mindset is very important in order to stay positive and being happy. This can be seen with both Chris and the Walls family. The way that Chris does this is by reading philosophy books and always looking on the bright side. By doing this, Chris is able to survive, stay happy, and positive. This played a major role in Chris's adventures. Both books have a lot in common, but they do still have their differences, that include the reasons that the characters have such little belongings and money. However, both of the characters realize that you do not need to have many belongings to be happy. Many people realize that you do not need many belongings to be happy and still find themselves buying more and more belongings that they do not necessarily need. Lots of people find themselves living in a constant state of clutter, and many would be happier if they did not have so many possessions around them.